Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome to Podcastathon 2025. I am so excited that you're here with us. My name is Kyle King. I'm going to be the host for the day, and I am the founder and chief people officer of the Culture Lab. If this is your first time with us, if this is your first time in meeting me, I'm going to give a little bit of background about my journey, what got me to this point. We're going to talk about the event, and then we're going to wait about 10 minutes, and then we're going to get started officially. But I am so excited, so grateful that you're here with us. And today is going to be super special. It's going to be super special because it's a compilation of all of my experiences, all of my research, all of my life professionally, and even personally in a lot of aspects, all in one compact day. For the last 10 years, I've had the privilege of serving students across the world throughout education, as an after-school director, as an 8th grade ELA teacher, as a dean of students, as a director of school culture and student advancement, as a board member that founded schools and organizations. I've done so many things on the back of empowering people. And I wanted to be able to create relationships. I wanted to be the person that made a difference, that left a mark, that was so committed to being the change that oftentimes we wish to be able to see and we wish to be able to make. And today is all about that. Because one of the things that I've realized in building 3 organizations, the Shine Institute that worked with students throughout America, that helped them get exposed to entrepreneurship, financial literacy, information technology, as well as real estate, as well as building a publishing company that helped hundreds and even thousands of educators, entrepreneurs, and individual professionals to be able to write, publish, and promote and launch their book and be able to build a business beyond their story. And even my newest organization, the Culture Lab, which is helping nonprofit institutions or organizations, as well as educational institutions, K-12, as well as higher level institutions, to be able to leverage corporate sponsorships or corporations and high net worth individuals, investors, to be able to have the resources for them to be able to thrive. Because one thing that I've realized over the years is one thing: if we don't have the resources in our schools, then it's challenging for us to be able to ensure that students are thriving. If we don't have the resources within our organizations, then it's challenging for us to be able to survive. If we don't have the resources, even in our households, it's challenging for us to be able to create experiences that our children, that our constituents, that our members, that our employees deserve. And one of the things that I've realized over the years is the throughway and the challenge that we often see in not being able to have these resources, in people leaving and us not being able to retain talent, develop talent, recruit talent, for us having schools that shut down, having organizations that shut down, having the various things that we see in the economy, is one word, and that's leadership. And if you're anything like me, I'm sure you've had leaders in your life that have empowered you to go off and create change, empowered you to use your gifts and be able to go off and innovate, empowered you to be able to identify ways for you to accelerate your career or even your own self. But I'm sure you're like me as well on the other end, that you've had leaders that have destroyed your character. You've had leaders that have destroyed your confidence. You have had leaders that have pulled you back and not allowed you to really thrive and spread your wings. You have had leaders that did not be able to put you in the position to win. And I've seen it so often throughout my own career that I wanted to be able to curate an event. I wanted to be able to curate today, and I wanted to be able to connect and collaborate with other individuals, other professionals in the realm of leadership, organizational effectiveness, culture, change, AI, fundraising, all of these different things that we're going to be talking about today. And I wanted to be able to curate an event that could do one thing, serve, give back, and be able to empower our next generation or our current generation of leaders to be able to have the tools, the methodologies, the stories, the framework, and the confidence to be able to go off and change, empower, and transform your organization, your team, your school, your culture. And I am the founder of Contagious Culture. I wrote a book earlier this year called Contagious Culture, Creating an Ecosystem of Academic Excellence. And this book has been featured in so many different schools and school districts around the globe. And I wanted to be able to curate an event today that embodied that same theme of contagious culture. Because what contagious culture is, in a nutshell, is your ability to be able to use kindness, your ability to be able to use respect, your ability to be able to use empathy, compassion, your ability to use that motivation, that purpose to be able to inspire others to go off and use their gift, use their talent, use their genius to inspire change. And one of the things that I'm excited most today is we've put together an event of almost 20 speakers, and we're not selling anything. We're serving. We're not here to ask you to do anything but show up, take notes, ask questions, and be a part of the event, be present in the event. So my expectation for you, my ask for you, anybody that's listening, and I'm probably going to say this multiple times throughout the conversation, is if you have a question, put it in the comment section. If you have a comment, put it in the comment section. If you have something that you're struggling with or a story that you're wanting to share with us that we can even address live, put it in the comment section. Because I'm going to be with you throughout this whole day from right now until 6 p.m. and probably even after 6 p.m. But our speakers are here from all over the world. They have different experiences, and they're going to be teaching, training, and sharing their heart, their wisdom, and their experiences with you today. And we want to be able to get this first session kicked off the right way. And I've had a conversation with the two women that will be coming on soon. And what I will say is both of them changed my life. Their energy, their heart, their ability to be able to use their gift, use their experience, use their passion for change to be able to transform so many people's lives in business as well as in their personal lives. But they're also just dope people. And they're the types of people that you just want to be around and have a good time with and hang out with. And I wanted to get the day started because I believe the beginning of something sets the tone for the whole day. And I am so excited to welcome up our two speakers that are going to be coming on here soon. I see you guys that are going to be coming on here soon. And here's, again, I just want to reset my expectation. My expectation for today is to have fun. My expectation today is for you to be able to leave as the audience member with one thing, at least one thing that you can take with you for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the year, and the rest of your career. So if you don't have a notebook, I want you to go get a notebook. I want you to turn to a fresh sheet of paper. I want you to go grab a pen or a pencil or a marker, whatever you prefer. And I want you to get it ready because our two speakers that are coming up for our first session to talk about vision with balance and how empathy and how power can heal not only American organizations, but our leadership and organizations all around the world. Amy, Deborah, I love that you're here early. We're just going to go ahead and get this started and bring you up right now. So excited to welcome to the stage my two good friends, Amy, Deborah. I'm going to change the orientation of this, boom, so that it looks a little better. I feel like that looks a little better.
There you go.
I feel like our heads are even a little bit better. So can you, before we get started, can you guys both introduce yourself and just talk about what is the story that got you to this point right now? Amy, we'll start with you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Kyle, Deborah, so good to be with you. So my story. Well, first, I tell people I've had 3 lives kind of so far. I graduated pre-med from school. So the first lesson that I tell people all the time is, especially students from back in the day, and even now my own kids, I say what you major in college is not always what you're going to end up doing later in life. So don't stress, just do the best you can. But I started out pre-med and ended up going into education. So I spent 17 years as a high school teacher and high school assistant principal for 10 years during that time. And in that time, I realized that a lot of the work that I was doing was, last night was a football night, so my voice is half gone. A lot of what I was doing was serving people that in communities, not just the students, but the families, the parents, the communities that didn't have as strong of a voice as they could have, or people that didn't have access to the things that other people did. And over that time, I started training and eventually got into diversity, equity, and inclusion as a career. So my first role in corporate America was 5 years ago. I was the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion for Paycor for 5 years. And after that time, Paycor was acquired just recently by Paychex. And so I work for Paychex now as the director of belonging in the belonging and engagement team. So that's kind of the story of how I got here. And I'm really excited to be here with you all today.
I appreciate you so much. Deborah, I want you to introduce yourself, but a little bit differently.
Okay.
What is your slingshot moment? What is that moment that woke you up and pulled you back and pushed you and accelerated into what you do today?
Oh my goodness. Way to start with a loaded question first.
We're gonna get right into it.
That's how it's going to be. Okay. Oh my gosh. I to pick one. There's so many. I don't know. That's a very loaded question. I think most recently, within this past year, 18 months, 16 months or so, I don't know, I lose track of days, with starting Newton Steel. I've been in the corporate space for over 20 years. We'll leave it at that. And as in sales, some sort of sales capacity, sales leader, it was a slingshot of getting slung out of a position that was working for a multi-billion-dollar company, and the position eliminated. Moving back to Michigan from being gone in the Metro Detroit area almost 20 years, and just kind of always afraid, always look to entrepreneurs, always look to people that stepped out as like, wow, like you can do that. I've been a true intrapreneur. But putting myself out there, literally, if you want to say slinging myself, throwing myself out there to the wolves to be able to start this new adventure, it's been terrifying, but yet exciting. Sometimes more or less of the scales are tipping either way. But when I started last year, it was actually this year, I would say March was when I really was able to push off from to start Newton Steel, to working within corporate, understanding that without the right people in place, as well as the right processes in place, I don't, whatever you're selling, whoever you are, like you're going to struggle. So I really kind of tipped into that gut feeling of what you would have, or that sinking feeling without transparency or without people allowing you to be yourself. You hire smart people to be smart, let them be smart. Kind of helping realign companies now do that internally, restructure processes, rebuild people, consistency and accountability. So those are what I hold myself to. It's not always easy. I understand it's hard. Yeah. But to stay disciplined and to stay on that is kind of what I'm helping now people push to do. So practice what you preach. Yeah.
Deborah, you said something, and you said a lot, and it's so much value to even get the conversation started off. There's a lot of what I heard is a lot of characteristics that leaders should have.
That word should.
And both of you
taken out of our vocabulary. They need 100%. To have. Yes.
They need to have. And both of you have sat in leadership positions, but then also both of you have experienced leadership. Mm-hmm. And I believe one of the challenges that we see organizationally as well as economically is what I want to call the death of leaders in organizations. And it's this culture where we're hiring people based upon titles, tenure, and resume, rather than hiring people based upon values, integrity, results, and ability to curate and cultivate relationships amongst teams to be able to grow something forward. Amy, I'm going to come to you first, and then Deborah, I'd love for you to chime into this question. If you could define leadership in one or two sentences for our leaders that are going to be listening, whether they're here with us now or watching the replay, how would you describe it? And what are the characteristics that truly make a great leader, in your opinion?
In one or two sentences, I would say, and I'm gonna say an effective leader, because you can be a leader but not actually be an effective leader.
Oh yeah.
So an effective leader, I would say, is someone who has the ability to be aware of themselves and others. Right? They have emotional intelligence, and they continue to adapt and learn that skill to the point where they're able to pull and help others see their own potential and ability without knowing it, right? Mm-hmm. So you, as a leader, as an effective leader, you have the ability to coach, to mentor, to see the things that other people can't see in themselves and help them realize it for themselves. That is an effective leader. It's not someone who is, authoritarian or, telling you what to, like a taskmaster, telling you what to do all day long. There is a time and a place there were times where you just have to say, hey, this is what we have to do and get it done. But a leader is someone who sees the qualities in another person and pulls them out and helps them realize their own potential. What to look for? I think the qualities of that leader, obviously I've said emotional intelligence. There's some technical skill depending on the role or the industry or the job, of course. But, they've done, I think it was UC Berkeley did a 4-decade study on emotional intelligence and found that it was 400% more likely to cause leadership success than any technical skill in any industry.
You said 400%?
400% more likely to predict leadership success when you developed emotional intelligence. The other thing was more likely to, I think it was on average, make $27,000 more a year because you're rising in levels of leadership because you're emotionally intelligent. When you're aware of others and you're aware of yourself and you're doing that work and you don't stop doing that work, that's when you're really going to the top. And if you think about all of the leaders that we've had who have been effective, or even in your own lives, you probably remember like, oh, wow, they really, it wasn't just about my work. They actually cared about me as a human being.
That's good.
And working and helped pull that potential out. That's good.
Deborah, what do you hear when you hear that response?
I think combination, just piggyback off of exactly that was great, Amy. I think the problem is that I've encountered and that I see that block a lot of people from leveling up or getting to that next level, whether it's internal politics, the self-awareness piece you want to be there, but it's sticking and staying in that self-awareness. The yes men that you see, that's probably, I know that's why I am where I am. Yes, my self-awareness has wavered and sometimes it's hard to get in your own head. You have to have your own checkpoints. But I've never been a yes man to be able to just go along with for the sake of going along with. But I think that that's healthy. It's similar to like arguing. Like there's a way you can do it to make it healthy to be better, and that is a self-awareness. That's your emotional intelligence to not take score, hold things in internally, to have a transparent conversation. And I feel that a lot of people allow their ego to get into the way, that they get in the way. So rather than listening to the people, again, going back to you hired them because they're smart, you saw something in them. Once they're in the company, listen to that. Don't forget and keep going back to that base point of why they're there. There's a quote that I love, build a team so strong and so great that no one can spot the leader. Mm-hmm. For everyone to kind of be on that same playing field to where you're all lifting each other up. I mean, I've worked for, the small mom and pops to their the best leaders that I can pull out, boom, 2 of them right in my head from 20 years ago and from most recently, they're going to jump in the trenches with you. Yeah. They're doing it. They've done it. It's not finger pointing or blaming or that. Like, things happen, we all have to be prepared, but to be able to jump in and do that unconditionally within, rather than trying to be the hero, again, that's where the ego and self-awareness really play into it. We all get in there. I do. Your ego, it gets in there. No one's perfect.
It's kind of like what I hear you saying, Deborah, and I love that, is it's kind of balancing ego with empathy. And one of the greatest leaders that I feel like I've had the privilege of learning from, didn't have traditional degrees. He was not like a career professional. But I saw the way that he always differentiated the way that he communicated to people. He showed compassion and consideration. He would push people in one way based upon what they needed, but then would be softer with other people in the way that they needed. He would communicate loudly to certain people because it got them motivated, but then he would communicate softer with other people when he recognized that type of communication would inspire them to be able to do things differently. And that first leader was my dad. And it was talking about a lot of these times when he would coach, and when he never had this theory of everybody gets the same. He had a theory of everybody gets the same opportunity, but I'm going to push somebody differently. But the team is much bigger than the single individual. And there were characters, there was a character and a values based and expectations and a standard of excellence that he embodied that pushed us to being able to be one of the top organizations in an AAU basketball team, and has helped so many players to be able to go off and play professional or just do different things in their career. I guess a question that I have, though, and why I bring that up is leadership without empathy, I don't believe is possible. But how can we balance that thread? Or a better question is, what is the first practical step, Amy, that leaders can take to lead with empathy without losing authority?
Yeah. So you're hitting right on the subject matter of the book there, Kyle. And for
anybody new that doesn't know about the book, can you talk about the book and your response?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. So on November 1st, so just 2 weeks ago, I published my first book. Yay. And it is called Healing Division, How Balancing Empathy and Power Can Heal American Society. So you're nailing it right on the nose there. And honestly, the premise of the book is, you can't be an effective leader one way or the other, right? So you're asking what the first practical step is, and having empathy and balancing that is first recognizing you have to become self-aware. Like you cannot be an effective leader. And that first practical step is figuring that out. You have to go forward and you have to do the assessments. There are gazillions of assessments out there. There are some that I prefer over others. That means investigating biases, Project Implicit. It means going in and doing, insights, DISC, like HBDI, Myers-Briggs. All of these things.
I am completely ignorant. All of these acronyms are just too much for me.
Yes, I totally understand.
What do you recommend? Like, what is the first step in? I love the term self-awareness.
Yes.
But I think self-awareness can often be one of those terms that we look as, I journal at the end of the night, Amy, or I know myself, but you really don't. And I'm familiar with DISC and all these things. What is the tool or the thing that you would recommend?
You have to get comfortable. Well, it's hard to be comfortable with this, but you have to ask other people how you are.
That's good.
You can't just be within yourself and think like, oh, this is me. Right. You have to get outside of yourself and ask other people, hey, how did I show up today? When I came to the meeting today, did I listen to everyone? When I showed up and we had our conversation, our evaluation conversation, did I say something that rubbed you the wrong way? Was it not effective? Am I actually doing what it is that you're needing me to do to help you grow? You have to ask the questions that sometimes it makes you vulnerable. You have to get vulnerable. And as a leader, sometimes that's scary because, you don't want to show that you can't handle it, but that's honestly the exact opposite of what you're doing. When you get vulnerable with the people that you work with, they respect you, they trust you more. You're building psychological safety because you're showing them it's safe for them to also be vulnerable. And I would say that's the best first step. Be vulnerable, ask questions about how you're being perceived so that you can correct the things you don't even know are happening. That to me is the best first step. And then ask them how they feel about when you are exerting times of authority, that you're not exerting power over, but you're actually exerting power to serve the whole, not self.
I love that response. And Deborah, I want you to chime in on this next question, and then I'm gonna come back to you, Amy. You've seen a lot of organizations. You've worked within the logistics space. You're a sales leader. You run your own organization, Newton Steel. And you've seen a lot of organizations in your career where their culture and their climate is completely fractured. People aren't on the same teams. There's no processes. There's no real clear alignment in regards to communication, and a lot of different cracks in the foundation. Mm-hmm. I guess the question is, when an organization's culture is fractured, what should the first 30 days of development or healing look like in order for us to be able to get on the same page, whether it's from a sales perspective, whether from an efficiencies perspective? If we recognize the fractures and we recognize after we went through this self-awareness period from a leadership standpoint, what do you recommend in regards to those next steps to being able to ensure efficiency as a whole?
That's a great question, and a challenging one, because again, we all know if a foundation is cracked, it's the same thing within our homes. It's a challenge. It's going to lead to more. You're just going to keep stacking. So I think you said the word in the answer is recognizing, and it does take, stepping back and looking at it. To Amy's point of, it is to be vulnerable is to be brave, and it's scary. So when you, even into the workplace, which Amy was saying, even it's in the family, some people are afraid. Some people are afraid to just have that conversation, not necessarily if it's a leader that's asking, because the person's, they're, what's the word I'm looking for? There could be retaliation. Mm-hmm. So that's a scary part. So understanding that, it's, whatever you say, it's safe. You're able to say whatever you want. No, it's not. So that right there, you're blocked. So to be able to dig down into that, and that I wouldn't be able to get past that point if there were leaders, owners in place that couldn't see that. I'm not saying that it's not fixable, but that piece right there and being able to find out, that's the crack. That's a very, very huge crack. So how do you get around that without transparency? I guess I don't want to say I don't know, but without getting in there and knowing the whole scope, that's a very challenging, because it's very delicate. It's very vulnerable. It's very sensitive. It's, it's their baby. They've done a great job. They've made a lot of money.
Let me follow up with this question for you. One of the things that I appreciate that you said is, if you're not able to recognize that there is cracks in the foundation, then nothing's getting fixed. It's kind of like, if I don't recognize problems in my relationship, then it's kind of like there's no way for us to be able to move forward.
It's a Band-Aid on a leaking boat.
I like that. A Band-Aid on a leaking boat. I guess how can executives or leaders hold people accountable to a standard, but then still make them feel seen and valued during that process?
Communication.
What does that look like?
I will steal one of the phrases when you and I first met, and that has stuck with me since. It is that community, and being able to have that community and the people, to what Amy said as well, to level set. It's, yes, you're going to build that safety. You're going to put that consistency to where someone gets to know you, that they're able to call you on the carpet. They're able to, are you okay? Something's a little off. Again, however, there is a line, of course, between the friend and friendly within a workplace. There is the line between the leaders and the team members, and not crossing that, but you have to be able to show yourself leaving some of the emotional baggage at the door, but internally for what's there. And I don't know if that answers your question, but having the community and having people that you trust around you to be able to support you in a safe, loving, unconditional loving way, not in a self-serving way and not in a way, and then be able to receive it. Because there's a lot of people that you might be able to tell that to, but they're the retaliation mindset, and then it's just going to come back and bite you. So it's a very challenging, but it's all within yourself. Wait, why did I get so upset about that? Why does that make me so angry? Bringing it back inside of your own head, maybe there's an emotional scar from Lord knows what, how many years ago that you didn't even know that was something that I hate the triggered. I know that's such a common, I hate using that word, but it is. That's the word I'm using because, or just throwing up a defense or, bringing it into an emotional, but if you know that, that's fine. There's a lot of things that happen. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't that person. This isn't the same situation. This is Amy. This is Kyle in front of me right now. This is, so I think that's where the community piece to pull in and have the people, especially if you're a leader and you don't, or are removed. If you don't have people around you that can be honest with you, how can you be honest with yourself?
And go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, I'd love to piggyback off of your question about like how do executives see that. I think one thing that is very important, or to say two things that are very important, is no one's going to trust you if your words and your actions don't align.
It's very true.
So if communication is really important, but if all you're doing is talking, no one's going to believe anything you're saying.
Right.
It's like if I tell you I'm going to stop by your house tonight and then I don't show up, I don't believe you. And if you show up and you didn't tell me you were coming, that's also not okay. Like you can't do and not say, and you can't say and not do. The two have to come together in order for people to trust you. And so, yes, community and actions and words all have to be there in order for the work and the trust to exist. And that is what fractures organizations, is when leaders, and that's what kind of causes these fractures in culture, is when executive leaders, senior leaders lose touch and stop listening to the people that are in their organization. And then, it's lip service and all you're doing is talking and no one sees anything that's coming out of it. It's like, you're not going to, it's irreparable at that point.
Yeah. Talk without action.
You're willing to do the work.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then, Amy. I want to expound on that because I read something a while ago. This may have been last year or maybe 2 years ago. And I lived by this for a long period of time. So you're probably going to challenge me and you're probably going, I'm probably going to get flamed in the comments section. Where it said that I believe 60% of America's top CEOs lack empathy.
60 was that one?
I think it's 60%, 60% of America's top CEOs.
Yeah.
Completely lack empathy. So I believe it was all about bottom line and it was all about profitability. It was all about growth. It was all about, if you can't get the job done, then we'll just get somebody better. It wasn't about growing talent. It was about just bringing in new talent. And I built an organization that was completely unfounded on values. And it showed up in me first. And I recognized that when I built the Culture Lab, it had to look completely different. It had to feel completely different. And I recognized that organizationally, we've grown a lot quicker than any other organization because we were rooted in values. A lot of American organizations, though, still believe this, that, with layoffs, with the lack of inclusion, the lack of a lot of these necessary programs. So what do you believe American organizations are getting wrong about this idea of lacking empathy or balance, and how can we fix it? And I see you're ready to fire off. So just go ahead.
Take it away.
The problem is right now we live in it's all capitalism. We live in a society that's all about money and power and how can I get more of it? And the idea that having means that, or sharing with others means that you can't have is what the problem is. Is the idea that you, just because someone else is getting $20 means that I can't have $20, that's the issue. That's good. And fear. It's fear. People are scared. And that fear is being perpetuated through through society. And it's a result of, as Deborah was saying earlier, it's a result of people's previous traumas informing their current decisions. They're thinking from a place of trauma rather than a place of peace and healing. And so you have to get to a point where understanding, and this is chapter 7 of the book. Two things can be true. Having power doesn't mean you can't be empathetic, and being empathetic doesn't mean you can't be powerful. Both of those things.
Hold on. You can't drop a bar like that. Just skip over it. Can you say that again for the audience, please?
Being empathetic doesn't mean that you cannot be powerful, and having power does not mean that you can't be empathetic.
That's good.
Both can exist at the same time.
And you can still make money both.
And you can still be successful. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that, because I have or because someone else has means that I won't or they won't. It's not, I don't want to make it sound like, everybody gets the same thing. It's everybody gets what they need, or they have the ability or access to do so if they choose to. It doesn't mean that they will. Right. And so, setting up an environment where you're talking about, I actually wrote down vision and values. It's so important to have that before getting started. You just have to understand that, like, everyone's opinion matters, and you can come up with a best third solution. It doesn't have to be a this or that kind of a conversation. You don't have to be forced into a dichotomy. Two things can be true. Power and empathy can exist at the same time, and empathy is not weakness. It's actually a strength. As we just discussed, emotional intelligence is, empathy is a part of that, and actually propels you to be more successful. Most of our leaders that are empathetic are exceedingly successful.
Amy, I have a question that actually came in for you. Do you think it's possible to develop empathy, or is that an inherent character trait? If so, how can leaders go about developing empathy?
Yeah. So the educator is never going to tell someone that something is a fixed trait. Everyone has the ability to learn. Yeah. And if that was one of my dad's or my parents' lifelong lessons, was never stop learning. You can always do, yes, empathy. Now, I will say this, it will come naturally to some, more likely than others, but it doesn't mean that it can't be developed.
Yeah.
Yes. So the answer to the question is yes, empathy can be developed. How do you develop empathy is by first recognizing, understanding what empathy is. Honestly, the first thing you have to do is know what it is. And many people, as we get older, we start putting, our brains continue to categorize more and more information, and we start saying, oh, okay, empathy is walking in someone else's shoes. Boom, done. Empathy. That is not. That's not it. And honestly, children as young as 3 can be taught how to be empathetic. We start to lose that a little bit as we get older, because we start having all of these self-responsibilities, and you start
getting a little jaded though too.
Yeah, right. And anxiety starts to form. You're like, oh, but if I care about that person, then the other person's not going to like me anymore. And then, all these thoughts. And so you have to get outside. You have to step outside of yourself and understand that just because you may not know a person doesn't mean that you can't be empathetic towards that person. But you have to, the first step in developing empathy is knowing exactly what it is and what it entails. And if you look up the definition of empathy and all of the words that come behind it, it is very multifaceted. And you have to know how to do all of those things all at once. It's definitely something that is learnable.
I think a quick answer to help with people to kind of touch into that is, when somebody does something, what's your initial first reaction? Do you feel inside of you that they are trying to screw you over? Are they just having a bad day? When somebody cuts you off in traffic, I'm the type of person that I'm the former, where I don't like that. So I don't assume you have a bad day. I have to tell myself to, because I don't want to have road rage. But I think being able to recognize those little things that then compact as you are in the workplace, of just, where does your mind go? What are your automatics? Like, what's the word I'm looking for? That
reaction, like what's that? Your knee jerk, yeah.
Yes, what you immediately go to, and then kind of follow that through. Everyone has blind spots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And kind of pay attention to those little things, because those little things are the ones that compound and compound, and then you get to the jaded, your insecurities are packed in and you can't get past them.
I think that's why it's important for community. I
agree.
I think it's a special type of person to identify their blind spots individually. I think that's why it's important to have that community and say, like, look, like, let's say I'm driving in the car with you, Deborah, and I have road rage. Like, I need that person to check me in the passenger seat. Like, Kyle, you need to chill.
You need an accountability partner.
I need that person. And what I've heard in the conversation thus far that I hope somebody catches that's listening in is leadership is unselfish. Leadership is about considering something outside of your perspective, outside of your experience, outside of how you would normally do things, so that that other person can be able to thrive, so that organizationally or relationally or in our family, we can thrive together.
Well, that's how innovation happens, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what fuels innovation. You can't have innovation if you're not considering other people's opinions, because you're just thinking about your own the whole time. That's boring. Like,
let me push back on that. What if somebody else's perspective, I'm gonna just ask the question like I want to ask it. I find that oftentimes as high achievers, as thought leaders, we can find ourselves in spaces where we have the most valuable thoughts, or we have the most innovative or creative ways of being able to do things. What happens if we're in spaces and we don't necessarily have bright minds around us to be able to fuel our innovation, and then we have to be the one to continue to come up with something? Jim Collins says it best in his book, B 2.0. He says, until you can get 95% of people operating in their zone of genius in your organization is not optimized to be able to thrive.
Max it out.
So I guess the question there is, how do we ensure, can we teach innovation in our teams, or is it important to, or do we have to recruit and hire innovative thinkers?
So what you said in that quote was 95% have to be operating in their own genius, not your genius, their genius.
That's good. Challenge it. Yeah.
So yes, sometimes you may think that's where the ego comes in, right? You may think that you're the brightest mind and you have to be the one to come up with all the answers, but are you allowing people to operate in their genius, or are you wanting them to operate in yours?
Let me challenge you. What if their genius conflicts with what your direction as a leader? Anybody can answer that one.
I'll let you take it. So I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
No, you're fine. No, that's great. I agree with everything you say. It's that going back to, it's the basics. You know, why is that conflicting with you? What is going on there? Is it the yin to the yang, or are you just being insecure because this person is different than you, might be better than you? Excuse me, what's going on here? It's digging down to find out why you feel that way. And okay, if it's not you, that's fine. Work with that. That's who they are. That's again, they're bringing something different to the table than what you are. If you're all doing the same thing, then that's what's the point? You know, There's a reason why other people can pick up where you might not be good. And if anything, you can learn from them.
Right.
Deborah, let me ask you this, and I have a question that actually just came in for you earlier. You mentioned that the importance of self-awareness. What has been your experience with becoming more emotionally intelligent, and how can leaders learn from your journey to adopt the quality?
I think everything that what we've been saying here is the answer to that. I mean, I'll be the first to admit of allowing my ego to get into the way of what the goal of the team was, of not wanting to see things the way that they were, how I wanted to see things, and then allowing that community, the people that were close to me, similar to what you're saying, driving in the car, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, is there something more that's, to be able, rather than dismissing that, allowing that to come in and have the conversations that are uncomfortable and that I needed to then have with myself. So I think that has, and again, it's a working journey. I don't think anybody, similar to what Amy said, always keep learning, always keep wanting to be better. I think that is a true, if you think you're the smartest in the room, get in another room.
Yeah.
You have to.
And so it's not linear either.
No.
Right.
And nor does it, and it shouldn't be. I can't believe I just said should. No, it is not. it can't be hard stop, and that's for anybody. But I think the recognizing what that is and understanding if that person does bring something different to the table, allowing them to have that moment and to shine. That's not going to take away from you. It's not going to take away from me. People that want to be the hero or be the one I did that. That's within the team, the transparency. There's an insecurity that's within the team that they need to feel that or to say that internally, whether it's inside them or within the culture of the team. But I feel that is there's been some tough lessons that and even with that goes with friendships, that goes with family, that at work, who we are, work is who we are at home, and vice versa, who are at home and work. Being able to thread that through, not just turn it on and off. With all relationships, with all people. Yeah. And then constantly that journey, it's still a journey. It doesn't end, unfortunately.
Amy, let me ask you a question. Earlier, I love how you said that leadership in a nutshell is about alignment and that your words and actions have to align. And to be very transparent, I think I've been on the opposite end of that. Where I had these bright ideas and these visions for an organization, and I would communicate them, and without recognizing the pressure or the weight of responsibility that would come with fulfilling them. And I would communicate them prematurely and then recognize on the back end, like, oh my God, like I need this, or I need to
actually do this now.
And what happened is that you then lose trust in the people if you're not delivering, because all they heard was the intent, but then they felt the negative impact.
Yep.
And I think that oftentimes we're not aligned. So can you talk about just a practical tool, and maybe this is even for me, a practical tool that leaders can do, or a practical skill or habit that they can introduce in their careers where they are ensuring that they are aligned so that they're mitigating the risk of negative impact or character or lack of trust organizationally?
Yeah, two very easy things. One, have an accountability partner, like we were just talking about before. Find somebody that you trust, that as a leader you can go to and say, hey, did I do this or not? Or that you don't even have to ask them. They're just going to come to you and say, like, hey, I just want you to know, last quarter you said we were going to do X and it hasn't happened yet. So what are we doing? And what? And then the second thing is you have to ask the people in your organization and listen to them. That's it. Like, you have to be able to say to them, like, it's not just about having your own accountability partner. As a leader, you are accountable to everyone in the organization. So you have to be willing to ask the people. You have to listen to the people and say, hey, what did we say we were going to do that we didn't follow through on? Is there something out there that we said we were going to do that we didn't do? And how is that impacting your work every day?
I think getting ahead of it too. It's okay to say, look, I'm sorry. I know I said that. I haven't forgotten.
Admitting
to it. Or guess
Absolutely.
what? I forgot. I absolutely forgot. I'm sorry. That's where the communication and being able to have open communication, that people aren't afraid to then have that. Like, hey, you said that. Oh, shoot. We're humans.
Yeah. The safety to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. So if there is something that you forgot to do, or something that you said you were going to do that you didn't, or the track changed, on you in the midstream, and like that communication piece, and then taking ownership of those moments,
yes,
demonstrates and models to other people that it's okay for them to do the same thing.
I want to talk about that for a second. You said something, the safety to make mistakes. And, as a parent first, I think we teach that in the household. Like, when you drop the flour all over the kitchen, I'm not going to beat you for that. You just like, let's clean this up together. It's okay. Let's celebrate the mistakes so that I could teach you what you need. And I think that it goes to everything. And it's even as a former classroom teacher, I want you to be okay with making mistakes so that we have this culture that failure is necessary for our own progress. But I think that is not in existence in corporations. That's not in existence in business. It's like we always have to be buttoned up. We have to be well, spoken and almost perfect in all ways possible, where authenticity, vulnerability, and transparency is missing. So, ladies, can we talk about how we fuel or curate safe cultures or safe organizations where I feel that I can tell my boss that, hey, I'm just not feeling it today, and not have to give a whole explanation on why I need the day off. Or, hey, me and my spouse are going through it, and I can just feel comfortable communicating that and staying home. Or safe to say that, hey, I'm not feeling this on this project, or whatever the case may be. How can we create more safe environments where people actually feel comfortable showing up and not like they're always on the chopping block?
Amy, that's all you get it. Very low. You're taking it.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it just goes back to building a relationship. You have to build relationships with your people. And you have to learn how, if you don't know how to build a relationship, then that's where you start. Is how do I build a relationship with my people? And it doesn't mean that you have to be best friends. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it has to be like, you might not even like the person sometimes. That's okay too. But there was some research that an organization called Saramount did on how to become an inclusive leader. And they realized that there are 7 pillars of connectivity. And only 4 of those 7 have to align in order for a relationship to work. And so we actually built our mentoring program on those principles when we matched the mentor with the mentee. And honestly, it's funny because you when they were answering their questions, they were like, why are we answering like what our favorite style of comedy is, or what our favorite kind of music is, or, languages, like what languages do I speak? But those are pillars. Those are the pillars. Like if we don't have the same comedic style, if we don't like the same music, and again, if you think back on all of the relationships you've had that were successful, these pillars show up. But it's not all of them, like there are things that you still disagree on, and that's okay. But figuring out how to build a relationship with someone is the first step in learning how to move forward as an effective leader.
And we have the pillars.
Yeah, I have to find them. Hold on. Yes. Give me 1 second, and I'll let you know what they are.
As you're finding that, Deborah, I want to come to you for a second. One of the biggest realizations that I've had as a leader in being in spaces is that alignment is critical to effectiveness and growth as an individual. And I need to, before I communicate something, I need to look at the risk. I need to identify personnel. I need to adopt processes and all of these different things. And I have accountability partners in my life that are now helping me do these different things and keeping me accountable. And it took a while for me to be able to get to that point, and a lot of loss. And I say that to ask you the question, what is one thing in your leadership journey that you've realized that you could improve upon that our audience can learn from?
Oh, goodness. There's just one thing to pick on. And I hate to keep going back, and it's the basics. It's the 101. It's the awareness to be able to, is there just one thing that you can be able to continue to do? Self-checks that have been the accountability. I don't want to regurgitate what we had said here, but I think, again, I always go back to similar to what Amy was saying with the 7 pillars, the foundation, the pieces that is strong and sturdy within yourself and within the team. I've also worked backwards. If we're all having the same goal and we're all going to the same place, work backwards from there and never take your eye off of what that goal is. Because if it's all coming back to love and understanding, or money, or be more successful, if it's all coming back to that foundational piece of it, that's what's just going to continue to drive you. At least what drives me.
Yeah.
Internally.
That makes sense. Amy, you look like you have something. You have pillars too?
I got them.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the 7 pillars of connectivity are personal background, so like how you grew up. Shared life trajectory is the second one. So you have similar ideas or goals of where you want your life to go. Interests and hobbies, that kind of makes sense. Political and social morals,
Interesting.
musical preferences, language or dialect, and sense of humor.
I would agree with all of those. And I know there was a study done. So they probably have all this research on why it's the right thing. But I would definitely, because I think even relationally, and not to make this too personal, but I feel like if we don't have the same comedic style or interests, it's just weird. It's kind of like, I think I
But
want
you said that 6 of them, what was it, the number of the 7?
Four
Four.
have to exist for a relationship to be successful.
Yeah, you see all the time. It's like people are just like, oh, I don't really get his humor. But if there's other strong
Absolutely
4 of those where it's like, okay, it's kind of funny, but I don't really get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Or I mean, it's honestly, it's personal relationships and it's work relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's what,
because you can think about, like, even with your spouse or your partner or, you know, whoever you're around. I mean, it could be your own child. Like, there are things that as they grow up, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know that's how you felt about that. And it's okay.
But those are
it's
also
okay.
Those are relationship pieces. And the same thing as I go right back to sales, as a salesperson that I am, like, if you can find one of those or a few of those to hit with the customer to build that relationship.
That's right.
It's a path to get going. You know, it's a path to then explore. Like, if somebody comes in on the sense of humor, then it can be like, oh, what's your background? Oh, and then they can evolve into the other pieces, and each one of those is just going to solidify the relationship.
And all relationships take work. And so you have to be willing to put the time in to get to know someone. So it's, back to your point about how do you create the safety, is building the relationship. But if the relationship doesn't come naturally, you still have to put the work in to try to figure out how can we build this relationship so that we both feel safe, to have that culture of failure being okay. Making mistakes is okay.
There's something you can find for sure.
There's always something. Yeah.
Something.
Deborah, let me ask you this. As I look back at this list, which one of these are most important to you in building relationships? Is it?
You want to say them again?
Yeah. Can you say it again?
I got them.
Oh, you got them? Okay.
Yeah, the trajectory, the personal, as well as interests, political, social. I can't read my own handwriting. What was
language, dialect, personal background, musical preferences, and sense of humor?
Music. I didn't finish the word. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. But of those, is that personally? Are we within the workplace? Are we?
It's interesting because I think for me it's the same. Personally and professionally, I'll share mine next. But I'd be interested to know, both of you, what's the most important when you're building a relationship on this list?
Me personally, it would be the shared life, the trajectory.
Interesting.
Like, I think that is, I've always said, I don't want somebody to drag me along, and I don't want to drag you along. We're in this and we're going in it together.
Yeah.
So I feel that's those people, whether it's my friends, my family. And again, there's different levels. Everyone's at their different phase. But again, if that main goal is what you're going for, if that's what you're trying to do.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
That's what it can always bring you back to.
That makes sense. Deborah, what about you? Or excuse me, Amy, what about you?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm one of those people who I can't just pick one.
You're a salesperson.
This is never me. Like when you have those classroom activities where like, if you feel like this, stand on this side. If you feel like that's not, I was always like, nope, I'm gonna be right in the middle. I would have to say it's two very equally shared life trajectory. I agree. But that's not always the case. But I would say social morals, maybe not so much political all the time, but social for sure. Like social morals for me, if we have that shared understanding and you have, an innate drive and it's built from a place of intrinsic motivation, then you're, that to me is like you have that internal, like something is driving you on the inside and you have some type of a compass that's doing that internally. That for me is probably one of the most important.
That's interesting because I think we share that, but I looked at mine a little bit differently. I think most important is personal background because of that. Because I think because of our personal background, it is where we get our motivation from. It's where we get, our drive and our desires from.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the fence between like 2 and 3. So I think shared life trajectory, like where are we going? Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
I think personally and professionally, if you don't have vision, it's challenging for me to be able to, I don't know, it's simple things like have a conversation. If we can't talk about where we're going and what we're doing or the purpose of this action or these decisions, then it's kind of like I feel very flat. But then I think now here more recently, I think the values piece. I think that is so important because I've been on the opposite end and in leadership positions, and I've sat on boards where, saying this transparently, I've had to conform because the consensus on the board had a different political and shared view. And I wanted to navigate the complexities of that board. So I had to shift in sometimes, but stepping off and realizing and going through my own leadership journey, I recognize that you shouldn't have to shift if it's a safe space.
Yeah.
Or if you do, you can, to have that comfortable that conversation, if you do think differently, you're still having the respect for the individual,
Exactly.
And you can comfortably have that without fear of retaliation. And yeah, I think that's the part right there. That's well said.
I want to ask you all this, and we have a few minutes. And first, I think it's important to talk about what you do. I think, throughout this whole conversation, our audience has learned about your philosophies and your perspectives. But I think it's also important to just highlight the work that you're doing that aligns with these perspectives that you have. Deborah, could you talk a little bit about what you do? What's your driving factor and what you're trying to accomplish with companies? And then Amy, could you close us out with talking about the work that you're doing and why that's important?
Yes, absolutely. I briefly mentioned it. Where did you go? Did we lose you?
I'm here.
Here.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep going. I know the okay. The show must go on. But I mentioned it in the beginning of the call. The Newton Steel is a company that I started with a combination of course, my last name being Newton and my mom's last name Steel with an E on the end. Unfortunately, she passed last year, so wasn't able to catch the full mission and what this is. But it's people focused. Rebuilding people, reconstructing sales processes within companies, or reinforcing within all sales. Kyle mentioned I've been in the logistics space most recently the last 10, 11 years. So that's kind of where I'm honing in on. But to me, I think this whole conversation encompassed, it's the foundational pieces. It doesn't matter what you're selling and what you have to the people and the processes that are in place. So that's what I'm here to do, is help rebuild and restructure those where needed. So
I actually have a question regarding your background. So you said you were a salesperson. Mm-hmm. What took you from sales to people? Like to be people focused? Is it still sales focused?
I think those are synonymous. Yeah. I think to be able to be good in sales, you have to know people. Yeah. I was a waitress and bartender, and that's when I got my first big girl job because, you walk up to a table, you need to know who to be. Are you a stand-up comedian? Are you nothing but the business? You need to read people immediately. And I think that even on a surface level, you still need to be able to find a way to connect with the people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not, and which is fine. But if they're not, don't take it personal. So those types of things. So yeah, I think that I don't have an answer besides I think they're one and the same.
Yeah.
So good question.
Yeah. Thank you for answering the question. So what I do, I talked a little bit about at the beginning. I currently am leading employee listening, engagement. I'm on the team that is called Belonging and Engagement. And the work that we do is helping people feel good at work, helping people feel heard, that their voices are listened to, and that they feel like they can be their best self and bring their best self to work every day, whatever that looks like. And sometimes our best days are different every day based on what's going on in our lives, and just making sure that the policies and the opportunities, the benefits, the talent development, that all of those things align with the values of our organization, and making sure that people, that's what I do every day, is just making sure people feel welcomed and heard. And I was doing that work as an educator. I'm doing it now. I was doing it when I was in my brief stint in healthcare. All of those things just really come down to making people feel accepted. So my driving factor came from my parents. Both of them some of my parents had a very uncharacteristic quality to their relationship. They were 20 years apart in age, which, was not exceedingly common.
I forgot I was on camera for a second. I had like my eyes.
I always joke that but in maturity, they met in the middle. Like my dad came down 10 and my mom went up 10, and and so that's the joke. But they went through a lot. My dad grew up, he was the youngest Black drill sergeant in the Army in 1943. He was 19 years old in Japan. My mom was raised in the civil rights movement. They both encountered these horrific, honestly, experiences as young Black people in the world, and yet instill their lesson for me and everyone was accept everyone, with a period at the end of that sentence. They weren't jaded. They weren't, they didn't, grow up and say, but not, there was never a but. It was accept everyone. And that is how I have operated in the world. And that is why I do the work that I do, because everyone should be able to feel like that. That's beautiful. Just show up and be you is enough.
Here's my final question. And I'd love to hear both of your responses. You have 60 seconds to transform everybody listening. If you had one message to end us off, 60 seconds, leaders, organizational leaders, change makers, what would be your message for them?
I'm going to say, realize your own power, but do so with vulnerability so that you continue to grow.
That's good. Deborah, what you got for us? Come on, Deborah.
I'm trying to think of the best little sound bite nugget drop, mic drop, and then fade away. Gosh, there's so many different things that are running through my head. The vulnerability piece is, again, most recently has shown up with me, but it truly, the words to be brave is to be vulnerable.
I like that. Anybody listening in? This is the Podcastathon. And this is session 1.
Yay, look at you. You're just kicking it off.
Vision with balance, how empathy and power can heal American organizations and your leadership. And first, I want to thank you two ladies for showing up, coming and starting us off. I literally, when I got on here, I was like, all right, let's get to it. And, at the beginning, you have those nerves, but you two have given me life. You have given me so much fire as well to remain aligned, to be brave, to be courageous, and to be unselfish in my leadership, to consider other people so that those innovative ideas on the team are so necessary for all of us being able to grow. And I just thank both of you. Deborah, you sharing your story of your mother and how that propelled you forward. Amy, you sharing your experiences in belonging and inclusion and how that's continuing to propel you forward to do that work. I thank you. I honor you. I want to just take a minute to give you your flowers. And like the audience has been saying, like, this is excellent. And I appreciate our audience members giving us questions and giving us thoughts and sharing your comments and your affirmation for us this morning. And this is just number one. And I have a free gift for anybody that's listening. I have a free gift. I told y'all I would give y'all something away for free. We're not selling anything, I promise. And there's no sale in the gift. If you go to upgrademyfundraising.com, upgrademyfundraising.com, you don't need to put www, just upgrademyfundraising in your browser.com. It'll take you directly to a link. And if you just put your email in, it's going to give you a free 5-day course that's going to send emails to you every single day on leadership, on fundraising, on relationship building, and how to really activate and grow your own leadership so that you can embody contagious culture. Ladies, I thank you so, so very much. And
Thank you.
Where can we find you all online?
Oh boy, there's lots of places. So LinkedIn for me, for sure. Just Amy, middle initial E Hull, Hull.
I like how you put the H-U.
Because everybody, it's Amy Hall. They go looking for Hall instead of HU. So Hull. I have like several different tags on Twitter. I don't even know them all. I'm on Twitter. Let's see. Twitter is at the Amy E Hall. There's like an Amy E Hall official on Instagram. I'm all the places. If you just type my name in, it should be there. Or you can buy the book, and then you can have all the handles right there on the front page for you.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. LinkedIn is the best and easiest way for everything that I'm pushing through.
Yeah.
And I would want to take a quick second too, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Kyle. You've been such a blessing as a person, as a human, and for all I'm super thankful.
Yeah.
Grateful for you.
Thanks for being a culture crusader out here in these streets.
You know it.
Right. Good luck today. You got this. Long day.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.